have so much. There's so many feelings about this.
Oh, so Luce,
Yes.
the movie Luce. Yes, you were saying that it one of those movies that underrated, right? Like it could have been one of
Oh,
the movies to really talk about race um, in such a big way, and other things too, not just race. I mean, race was like a huge piece of it, but oh, so many layers. It was just so beautifully complex, so beautifully complex. And I was saying before even how Luce, the main character, the black young man who was adopted, as what was 7 or 10 years old, I forget.
yeah.
Then it's 10 years later, model, student, captain of the debate team, all of this stuff. I think they describe it as the new American dream, in the description. Um, this, watching the movie, I could just feel this, and not even duality, even. It was more than a duality.
Right.
It was the way he was with his white family. It was the way he was in with his teachers in school, with his intelligence, and the way he used his brain to move forward. The way that he was with his male friends, and the way he was with his intimate partner, which would happen to be a POC girl. They had an extra code switching thing that nobody even knew about. It was like so fucking layered. It was intense how much that kid was holding in that movie. Oh,
Right. Yes, absolutely. And I have to say the parts about well, in a way, like he's an adoptee, but his experience of being like having to prove himself in the American society with that, the American dream stuff,
mhm.
that really, as an immigrant, it really just hit me in a deep place.
Yeah,
It's just this thing that you just have to pretend that you bought into, because otherwise, and everybody congratulates you, loud or unspoken, about look at you being the one who came from this broken place, and this place made you whole. Like there's this notion that follows you when you're have that experience, and I feel like, and it's not just an immigrant exclusive, I feel like for a lot of people of color in the US context, there's a different version of the same thing. It's like you were broken, and if you succeed, it's because we're so great that you
right.
succeeded. Like it's like that. And again, that's the underlying thing here. It's like these white parents are so proud of themselves because it's really more about that they succeeded, that they conquered this kid, right?
It to me, it's almost like just an extension of it's an extension of colonialism, and an
Yeah,
extension of just like we know best.
yeah,
This is the better religion. This is the way you should do things, and whether it's coming from anger, rage, and rape, or from a place of I know better and love, and I could give you more, regardless of where it comes from.
right.
This film definitely shows that this is not as easy or simple as anything, and even the questioning of the parents, even their relationship, the husband and the wife.
Yeah,
It was very interesting to me. The woman totally fell into that stereotype. The white woman, the mother who just will fall on her sword and do anything. She will play the role. She will play that role to say, I will do anything. I will die for my child. I will lie for my child, which she did. Do you hear this bird outside my door?
yeah, yeah. Nice. You get good company.
Chirp, chirp. Okay. um, and the husband, interestingly, right from the beginning, the husband really takes a stance like, you're a bullshitter. Like, and it's almost, it made me feel, and I think for a lot of people of color, especially when in relationships and friendships with white people, we always wonder when that other shoe is going to drop. Like, everybody's cool and everybody's nice right now, but what if something happens? Is somebody going to be there to have my back, you know? And it's like, something happened, you know, the fireworks incident or the thing about the paper that happened, and instantly it was like, you're a bullshitter, and boom, it was just like, he goes in directly. And
but he comes around too.
Yeah, but it's almost that thing, but it's that conversation he has with his mom too. It's just like, I feel like I could only be like the best, or I'm a monster. And that's the sense that I got. It's like, he is perfect. He's the captain of the debate team. He's doing this. Everybody's so proud. And that's all he can be. If he has one little thing that steps out of line, it's not even, oh, he just fucked up. It's monstrous. It's like everything they've built, everything is going to crumble. All the therapy, all the things.
Right.
And then he questions the father. Like, why did we have to do this? Like, why did we have to go this particular route? And that's a strong question to ask, because that's the question I think a lot of people ask. Why do this? Why go and do this? Go and raise, adopt children from another country, bring them here. Why do it that way? Mm-hmm. Right? And people, I think people have different takes on that. Right. People say those kids wouldn't have another opportunity otherwise. And other people say they should not be taken out of the country that they live in. They should be adopted by other people. There's a wide debate on that. Right. But I think the point is, if this is happening, if they're adopting them, which is happening at a large rate, I mean, this movie definitely pinpoints like the aftermath in a different way. Like this, the fitting it is killing him. It's literally killing him, you know?
Right.
Oh.
You know, one of my favorite lines was when he said something about, about the stereotypes, and that how rewarding someone for not being a stereotype is just as damaging as, scolding someone for being the stereotype. And that was among many brilliant lines that came out of his mouth. Mm. That was great. So here's another layer that makes all of this complicated, right? Mm. Because yes, like he's fucking brilliant for a teenager to begin with, of any kind, any background, any context, right? He's very, very, very smart. Yeah. And he understands all of these complexities. He's in it. He's tuned into this conflict between his parents. He's tuned into this, like, the deep psychology of the teacher, the school staff, his friends. He is so good with all of that. He understands this race stuff. He understands his background and how, he's exceeding expectations and how he's presenting himself. And that's why I want to ask you what you thought, because really, I think all the way up to the very end, and I will tell you which scene it was, I didn't know. I was like, are people just being harsh on him because he is a Black kid who just can't get out of this box of being a stereotyped? Or is he actually guilty? Is he being a super brilliant, manipulative asshole? Mm-hmm. And there was a scene in there that, again, that convinced me 95% that he actually is using all of his brilliance, all of his manipulation power to really fuck everything up and really get away with it. Mm-hmm. But the fact that the end of the movie, like, you don't know, right? The end of the movie very much leaving the audience in like questioning mode. Mm-hmm. To me, it was amazing, because I had to, this didn't come to me right away. This was after that. I was like, no, he definitely did it. And that's for me, that's the decision I made. It's like, no, he definitely did it. But then I feel like watching the movie, because it was from his perspective, right?
Mhm.
It's like his story is told in a way that he even manipulates the audience.
Mhm.
Even the audience gets stuck in this space of like, did he do it? Did he not? Am I being a racist if I say he did it? Should I not say that? Like, what are the, how do I put all these pieces? Like, you go through the same journey. His mother is going through, his father is going through, his teacher is like, everyone is going through.
I like the movie because it actually makes you question.
Yeah.
Because, and then you question yourself why you're questioning it.
Yes.
Are you questioning it because he is a kid that was taken from a war-torn place, or is it because, you know, like, and so you're thinking, wait a minute, let me check myself here, because the way they're doing the dialogue is really good, and the way he is acting. But the conclusion I came to was that even the word manipulation, to me, it is the survival technique of many of us, right? It is the code switching. He is an expert at the code switching. Even the relationship he is trying to foster with the other black guy, when the black guy, you know, told him straight off, you know, like, you're the good black and they don't want you to be like me, you know, and how it hurt him, because I know he wants to be connected to that guy, but he knows he's different. He's different. And so even that wanting to be connected to this guy, and then wanting to have a relationship with his girlfriend in the open, but can't. And right there, and there, we don't really know much there, but I, you know, we can come to our own conclusions. Again, leaving us to come to our own conclusions. Was he a part of the rape, or was he not? Did he know about it in the aftermath, and now he's just supporting his girl and having a secret relationship so that he can still have this connection with these guys, continuing in the code switching with everyone? Or was he a part of that, manipulating her and continuing to beat her? We don't know. But that's the point, I think, of the whole fucking movie. The point is to make us wonder, and for us to question ourselves, that why are we wondering that?
Exactly.
Brilliant. It's fucking brilliant.
And I think, you know, that's a perfect movie for your white liberal who's like, or actually not just white liberals, really non-black liberals, non-black progressives, right? Because there's like all of us non-black people hold anti-black racism so deeply ingrained within us. It's just that those of us who are like the liberal progressive, or feel like we've done our work, have this like fake confidence that, oh, we can show up, we can make the right decision, we can have the right perspective. And this is the perfect movie for people like us, because like you're saying, you watch it and you're like, that's how, so you feel deep within you. You really, this movie is about how everybody wants this kid to not be the stereotype and rewarding him for not being a stereotype. And you watch it and you're given, and I came to a decision that he is a villain. He was the villain. But it's like, I so wanted him not to be.
So what was the line that made you come to that conclusion? What was the thing that made you come to it?
So the line, the moment that I was I think the creators put in there to give you a little push to know that he is just so good. He is just so good. It was when at the end, when he comes in, the mother searched the thing and can't find the fireworks. So, and he hints that, you know, that's where they used to hide his Christmas gifts, which indirectly hints as basically like it would have been one of the first places he would have searched to find them.
Right.
So, but aside from that, so like at that point, I think it becomes clear that he has taken the fireworks and done the firework thing. Like that became, I don't know, clear to me. Either he did it himself or had someone else do it for him.
Right.
But like those fireworks were these fireworks. That becomes clear. But then the line that is like, I think goes to the depth of how manipulative he is, and I'm using that very, very intentionally, is where he goes, when the mother is like, but you used to, you knew, like you used to act so surprised. And he said, yeah, I'm really good at acting surprised. And then he gives you his surprise face, which is so good. And you kind of realize this, like he is the psychopath. Like, just realize. No, I mean, I know, but like that's why I'm using manipulation, very, very, like I just suddenly, I was like, I just can't keep making excuses for him, and I have to let go of the fantasy that he is an innocent, you know, model kid. And I love that. I was like, it's so, because so much of his story, so much of his lines about blackness were so real and true, and they still hold their place, regardless of how much of a villain he is. Like, that conversation with the teacher, the conversations with the parents, the conversations with his black friends, there's so much realness there. There's so much truth there. So I don't want to disregard that. That's all like gold. but from that line, I was like, motherfucker did it.
So did what? Did what? Because there's several things. What was the thing? You're talking about the fireworks?
He did the fireworks. He got his friend to vandalize the teachers. He set up the teacher with his girlfriend to, you know.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
To ruin it. He basically, I think he did everything. Like, the only thing I might question is whether or not, like you were saying, he was involved in the assault personally. Yeah. But that's like the only thing I would question. But clearly, he was also manipulating the girlfriend by not letting her go forward and continue to get her involved in these games, you know. But I wouldn't put it like at that point. I'm just like, he did it.
Yeah, for me it was like, I knew the thing about the paper. So let's start with the paper, because this is the thing that started everything. Him writing the paper about France, right? Yeah. And the teacher being concerned about that. I loved her character too, because there's a teacher.
Octavia Spencer's so good.
I love her. Her character was so great, you know, and the way that she was connecting with him and also with his girlfriend, you know, and trying to be, it's like her extension of success, you know, she like trying to succeed through her students, right? We don't, you know, there's a space there. We don't know if she's going overboard or not. So we're not, you know, quite sure. Probably a little bit there. And so when he's talking with her directly about the paper the first time, like the way he talks to her, the interesting thing about it is that whether he believed it or not, right? This goes back to, again, the thought policing thing, right? It's about this this idea of him being perfect. And if he strays from an idea that comes from where the fuck he was from, where some you know, like something that was instilled in him until the age of 10 years old, right? And even when they have conversations about it, we went to therapy, we dealt with that trauma.
Right, as if that's how that shit works.
What? I was like, what are you talking about? But this is the thing here. So I want to bring that back, because throughout the movie, we actually forget this. Even though that is at the backdrop of this, we forget that this kid is fucking traumatized. Yeah. Up until the age of 10, this kid was killing and had a gun in his fucking hand and doing God knows what. And we don't even know about sexual abuse or assault, because we know how much that's connected with war. So that's not even discussed there. So we actually forget, and I don't know if we forget it because he's a boy, because he's black, because he's really smart, because he has manipulation, maybe because he's not talking a particular way, right? And this is the thing I want to keep pushing, because this movie continues to push our buttons about what we see and don't see, because he is still a fucking victim. He is still traumatized. He is still dealing with that. So if he wrote a paper about that, that would be a wonderful opportunity to have some conversation. Maybe if there's therapy that needs to be had, okay, but not the way they handled it. Became a snowball effect into some shit. And then the firecracker thing became even bigger, again, because it's an idea of him or who he could be. This murderer, killer person. And then it's unraveling the good deed that the white people did. So in actuality, it's not even about him. It's about everything they put into him. What will it say about them?
That over and over. Like the teacher and the parents are like in this conspiracy thing together. Is that they just are so invested in making sure this kid turns out to be what they want him to be. It's so that they can feel proud of themselves, right? And they have so much of that conversation in the background. There's trauma that he suffered when he was in Eritrea. And then we don't know. They're so proud of like what they've done to him, so he is now here. But we don't know what kind of therapy he had to go
No,
through. We have
no.
no idea. We have no idea what kind of assimilation. And so I consider that process by itself a traumatic process, right? And then he has now arrived in this place where he has to hold on to, because otherwise he has like no chance of survival. So it's like, and that is a traumatic process. It's just like, but it's like the lack of the collective lack of understanding of how trauma actually works.
Yes.
It's amazing, right?
And the two scenes that are, one scene when he is rehearsing for his speech, the speech that his mother tells him to talk about himself, which in actuality is not about him, it's about her and her husband, right? So talk about himself, and when he's rehearsing it, how he cries when he talks about it, especially when he talks about his name.
Mm-hmm.
That piece gets me so fucking deep, right in my fucking soul, because I knew what Luce meant, because Luce in Spanish is light. And again, here is the just the wording and the stuff around blackness and darkness and stuff. And this is why I'm trying to change my language around stuff like that. You know, it's like when they adopted him, they could not pronounce his name. Ugh. Just that alone.
I mean, they're like educated people. She's like a pediatrician. Like, how hard could it be? Like, maybe it has a click in it. I don't know. It don't care. Like,
it was just, they couldn't pronounce his name, and it was like a sweet thing. When he's rehearsing it, he's crying, but when he's doing it in the thing, it's like, gosh, she couldn't pronounce my name, so they suggested changing my name to Luce because it meant light. Since the first 10 years of my life were filled with darkness. It was just like, what a line. Like, what a fucking line. It was like, Luce, what is the light? Is that whiteness? That is whiteness, the savior?
So that light thing, the whole Luce thing, right? Here's two things that I think the brilliance of that line and that moment was the crying and the name, the revelation of the name. Mm-hmm. There's that conversation between him and the teacher, right? About at the very end, where they talk about how Black people are put in this type box, whether or not you like it, you're in there. And then there is just a little bit of light coming in, and some of us get it and some of us don't. So I really thought that, the choice of name of Luce and then talking about what it means and talking about, like, that really connected to that line for me. It's that he's Luce. He's one of the few Black kids who's getting the light, and, fuck the other kids who are just getting destroyed. Yeah. So that was one. And then the crying during the rehearsal as he was saying that, that actually reminded me of Get Out. Mm-hmm. Where you just keep watching Black people say how happy they are and how great things are for them while they're in the sunken place. They're like the crying, and you just is like, oh, like that was I was immediately transported to what that movie had to say about when your words are saying something, but your reality is just so different. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. In looking at this movie, the first thing that, comes to mind, or many things come to mind, really. Mm-hmm. Number one, how are white parents really and truly shifting the way they raise their white children? Now, what I want to see is a restructuring of how children are being raised, because, what I've been seeing is people talking to their children about the injustices, which is good. It's a good start and all that. I think we're talking about it as this is not a good thing for people. This is how, we're talking about it in ways that is a beginning. Mm-hmm. And we, from the beginning, that's not how we function. We're always functioning like, where do I fit here? Let me see where everything is at. Let me see how I can be here, because
how do I shrink myself, basically, like, to make sure I'm okay.
They have to understand that reality.
Right.
Like, because if you are just being like, I am a nice white kid or white person, and my mom told me that everyone is equal and I have Black friends, that's beautiful. But if you don't understand the way this person shrinks, the way that they feel, the anxiety that happens if they say, oh, come to my house. Oh, you don't even understand all the shit that happens to a person of color thinking, oh, what, okay, I gotta go to a white person's house. I have to think about a lot of things here.
So many fucking things.
A lot of things. So are you actually having a conversation with your kid about that reality? Like,
oh, you have to understand it yourself first. It is still, I feel like the depth of the issue is just so deep. Like, we're like people are scratching the surface with a little like, and they're feeling good about themselves. And that's what gets to me. So much of what I see as anti-racist work here is white people or like brown people doing anti-black, anti-racist work, like doing just enough so their egos feel better. Just enough. And I don't think this is a conscious process. This is not, I don't think like they're aware that this is what's happening, but it's like they do, you know, they donate or they show up to a rally or they have the conversations, they raise their kids with like the right books and they watch the right movies and just enough to have their egos feel good about them, feel good about their own existence, really. That's what it is. And it's like, this is not like, we cannot, and that's the first step. That's the real, I went through it like that's the first step. You got to get to that place, making your ego feel better. But then you got to move forward.
Right.
You can't stay there. I feel like that's what you see with like the white liberal thing. It's like, there's just this chunk of people in this space of just, it's ego work. This is not anti-racist work. This is ego work. And the line in the movie that really connects to this for me, and I just was so brilliant, is when the mother is just really trying to convince Luce that she's on his side and she really is ready, is there to do everything needed for him, right? And he goes, what if what I need protecting from is you?
Yeah, yeah.
And I love, I'm getting chills just talking about it.
And I could feel her heart just shattering into a million pieces.
And you could tell she didn't get it. She didn't know what he was talking about. And this is the level that I'm waiting for white people, for non-black people to get to.
Yeah.
To get to is like, do you get, and again, I'm saying this as a non-black person, like there is a depth, there is a level of suffering, generational suffering, systematic fucked upness, that it's like, if you really want to do anti-racist work, you got to get your shovel and just keep digging.
Yeah.
Like, you can't stay at the ego level.
Yeah. It made me also think about interracial relationships, right? Because again, the concept of, you know, all we need is love. And I've been very clear. No, I don't think so. I think interracial relationships are very, very difficult. They are possible, absolutely. They are possible. And they take work. Right. If you are going to be open, honest, and really talking about race. If you don't want to talk about race, you could have a great relationship probably in a fantasy. But it's really about digging into that stuff, right? You know, it is possible and it is hard. And so what are we talking about or omitting to our children about that, right?
Well, parents just don't talk about like relationships and dating with their children, because I mean, most parents, honestly, like, you know, they don't know much about their own relationships with their own partners or their children. Like, it's just
pushes people to really engage, right? Because if you don't know anything, that means that you have to learn, right? And that pushes, right? Either you're learning it or you're not.
You know, the whole idea that like, if you love your kid enough, if you love your partner enough, if you love your friends enough, then your all sorts of power differences, they will suddenly be just vanish. Yeah. And it's like, no, if good intentions and love were going to, but it's really feel like this ideology of love is enough or love will take care of it is really an extension of that color blindness thing.
Yes.
You know, that is like, it's a more politically correct or more sanitized version of color blindness.
Yeah.
It's like to believe that the amount of love and good intentions you're going to put into a relationship will address or will be a replacement for honest conversations about your power differences it's color blindness. You're just doing that.
Right.
Like, right? And that's yeah, what parent is talking to their child about, look, you likely, and most people do, end up in a relationship with someone who, for whatever reason, class, gender, race, just like beauty or like attractiveness or other things, will have power differences with you. Some you hold the more power, some you don't.
Right.
How do you navigate that?
Right.
You don't just say, I'm going to love them harder and then suddenly we'll overcome.
Right.
But like real, like, and it's messy, right? And it's so messy, that whole process of like, and I say this because there is the other side of it too, where I feel like I see people fall from the other side, like the white allies who are willing to tolerate anything from a person of color.
Yes.
Just because they're a person. I'm like, that is just, you did not get the message. Like, engage. If you see something is wrong, engage with it. It will be messy.
Yes.
Can you
It's
accept
like,
that?
I'm white, just punish me. And it's like, no, just stop. It doesn't work that way.
But that's another way of getting stuck in the ego level.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's like,
it becomes about them. It's just like, punish me. I am not worthy. I am not worthy.
Absolutely. It's like, just like, you know, if I punch him in the face, they'd be like, oh, that's okay. You poor thing. You know, you go through so much. Like, you know, it's not, that is just as patronizing and awful.
Yeah. And this also makes me think of, because again, it keeps going back to the institution of family, reshifting the way we talk about sex and relationships, but also it goes back to the film too, about, again, our views, our misconceptions, and things that we hold inside of us, right? Because regardless of what our families say or don't say, we got media all around us.
Yeah.
We got everything around us. Friends, we got people saying things all the time. We hear anti-blackness, we hear anti-immigrant shit, we hear anti-trans shit, we hear so many things all the time. So it's there. Yeah. It is in us, you know, it is in us. And it's like, how do we, you know, like, how do we navigate with our children, going to events that make you probably the minority or anything, because that's what I've seen people do that. I have the utmost respect. I have seen families actually do that, like white families going to events that are, you know, that are POC centric and say for everyone to come, and they make it so, because that's what we always do. We say it's for everyone, and it's always all black and brown. And then you see the one or two white families that come, you know, and they stay the whole time. And it's like, that is lovely to see people out of their own comfort zone, because it's what we do all the time.
What happens when that white family shows up to a, you know, a non-white event is that they develop that capacity for empathy. And really, empathy is that place where you move past ego, right? True empathy. And for true empathy, you don't have to go up to a person of color and let them know. Like, even if you're just feeling like it's true empathy, it's going beyond your own ego, right? There's this fantasy that if you yourself, if you just do enough work on yourself and your family, immediate family, right? And do the right things, set forth the right intentions, just tell your kids the right things, right? That you all will be good. You won't end up racist, right? There's this, which is a fantasy. It's a fantasy that this is how racism works, this is how oppression works. It's like, it's like saying, you know, it's like people who think if they just eat the right food and exercise and everything, then living next to a bus station that like they get exhaust from every day, it's not gonna actually make him sick. It's like, no, there is, if you actually want to, like, there's a bigger thing here that you need to contribute to, and also you need to accept that until the day that system has been entirely abolished, you will and your kids will be racists. Can you accept that? Because this is, I think a lot of people get stuck. If you can't accept that, you will be making mistakes despite all of your best intentions, and you will fall. And you can rise, and you will fall again. Like, this process, until you can accept that, you're still stuck in your ego.
Yeah.
Right? It just, and nothing will change.
Yeah. All right. Well, I would love to hear people's commentary on Luce. Watch it. Let us know. Send us any comments or questions or any media, film, or books that you would like us to connect the dots to. That would be pretty.
Yeah.